welcome to online class. Myself, Helen Solomina, Department of Physics. Chapter 6 Magnets. Learning objectives are poles of a magnet, properties of magnets. A freely suspended magnet always points in north-south direction. Attractive property. The like poles repel and unlike poles attract. Poles exist in pairs. Poles of a magnet. What do you mean by poles of a magnet? Poles of a magnet is nothing but the two ends of the magnet. Consider a running race. Running race அப்படின்னா நம்ம எல்லாருக்குமே ரொம்ப ஃபெமிலியராக தெரிஞ்ச ஒன்று தான் இல்லை. ஸோ there is a starting point and also a ending point. In a similar way, a magnet has two ends. So that is so called poles of a magnet. See, if we are having a heap of iron fillings, the maximum amount of iron filling that will be linked to the two ends of the bar magnet. Maximum amount of iron filling எங்கே போய் அட்ராக்ட் ஆகிருக்கும் அப்படின்னா ends of the magnet. ஸோ அந்த ஃபோர்ஸ் ஆஃப் அட்ராக்ஷன் அந்த மேக்னெட்டில் எங்கே ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ராங்காக இருக்கும் அப்படின்னா that is near the two end of the bar magnet. So these are called the poles of the magnet. The force of attraction strongest near the two ends of the bar magnet. So that are called the poles of the magnet. Okay. So the region of a magnet where attraction is strongest, that is called poles of a magnet. A magnet has always 2 points. One pole of the magnet is called north pole and it is represented by the letter N, and the other pole of the magnet is called the south pole and it is written by the letter S. Now let's move to the properties of the magnet. There are 4 properties: directive properties, attractive property, like poles repel, unlike poles attracts. Poles exist in pairs. In directive property, we can say that the directive property is used for the navigation in compass. In attractive property of the magnet always attracts only the magnetic substances. Like poles repel, unlike poles attract. What do you mean by like poles? Like poles na enna? North pole and north pole, that is like poles. Or else south pole and south pole, that are like poles. If you are considering unlike poles, what is unlike poles? Unlike poles na enna அப்படின்னா north and south, or else south and north, that are called unlike poles. So like poles repel, unlike poles attract. The poles exist in pairs. First, directive property of magnets. If we can consider a freely suspended magnet, what do you mean by freely suspended magnet? Freely suspended magnet அப்படின்னா it can move in any direction. It is free to move in any direction. So எல்லா direction அதனால மூவ் பண்ணக்கூடிய ஒரு சிச்சுவேஷனில் இருக்கிறது தான் that is a freely suspended magnet that always rests in north-south direction. Let's have a bar magnet that is suspended from a thread which is tied to a wooden stand. So the thread does not prevent it from swinging in any direction. Now turn the magnet by the hand so that it points in another direction and then leave it. இப்போ நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னா மேக்னெட்டை நம்மளோட ஹேண்ட் வச்சு நம்ம அதர் சைட் ஆஃப் தி மேக்னெட் நம்ம திருப்புறோம். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி நம்ம ஒரு டேர்ன் கொடுத்தோம் அப்படின்னா கொடுத்துட்டு கொஞ்சம் நேரம் விட்டீங்க அப்படின்னா we can again see that it points in the same north-south direction. Okay, so in directive property of the magnet we have studied that if a freely suspended magnet that comes to rest always in north-south direction. A main principle of the directive property of the magnet is magnetic compass. It shows the direction. The endpoint of the magnet that points towards the north is called north pole and the end point, that point towards the south, is called the south pole. So, the very useful application and most important direct property of magnet is the magnetic compass. In the 11th century, the Chinese discovered that a magnet can act as a compass to find the directions. So, the magnetic compass is an instrument that is used to find directions. Mariner compass is a more elaborate form of the pocket compass. Mariner compass is nothing but mariners use this to point out the directions. So, I hope that we're all clear about the directive property of the magnet. Let's move on to the attractive property of the magnet. A magnet always attracts the magnetic material towards it. This is called the attractive property of the magnet. Like poles repel and unlike poles attract. So what do you mean by like poles? That's nothing but north and north, south and south. These poles are called like poles. Unlike poles nana, unlike poles is nothing but north and south. So unlike poles attract. Okay, let's have an example. If we bring the north pole of the magnet near the north pole of the freely suspended magnet, the poles of the magnet repel. But if we bring the north pole of a magnet near the south pole of a freely suspended magnet, the poles of the magnets attract. So, like poles repel and unlike poles attract. Poles exist in pairs. We human being has pairs of eyes, pairs of hands, pairs of legs, so and so. In a similar way, magnet also exist in pairs. See, magnetic poles exist in pairs. So if we take a bar magnet and cut into two pieces, the two magnet will have their own north and south pole. ஒரு magnet எடுக்கிறோம், நம்ம half-ஆ cut பண்ணுறோம். So each magnet has two poles, right? என்னென்னது? North pole and south pole. So if we further divide these two smaller magnets into four magnets, we have their own north and south poles. So a magnet always has two opposite poles. It's important to note that we can never isolate the north pole of a bar magnets from its south pole. So magnetic poles also and always occurs in pairs. It's activity time. Aim to verify that like poles of the magnet repel and unlike poles attract. Materials required: 2 bar magnets with marked poles, 1 wooden stand and a thread. Procedure: suspend one of the bar magnet on the stand with the help of the thread. Now bring the north of the other magnet near the north pole of the suspended magnet. நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னா பார் மேக்னெட்டை நம்ம வந்து த்ரெட்டால் சஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறோம். ஸோ இப்போ நம்ம என்ன பண்ண போகிறோம், இன்னொரு நார்த் போல் ஆஃப் தி மேக்னெட் எடுத்துகிட்டு நம்ம இந்த பார் மேக்னெட்டில் நார்த் போல் நம்ம பக்கத்தில் கொண்டு வந்தோம் அப்படின்னா what we can observe is that north poles of the two magnets repel each other. So we are getting another example. Now bring the south pole of the magnet near the south pole of the suspended magnet. What happens? We can observe that the south pole of the two magnets repel one another. And then we are getting another example. Bring the north pole of the other magnet near the south pole of the suspended magnet. What happens there? We can observe that south pole of the magnet attracts the north pole of the another magnet. So as a conclusion, we can say that like poles of the magnet repel one another and unlike poles attract each other. So what are the lessons we have learned today? Poles of a magnet, it consists of two poles, north pole and south pole. And then directive properties of the magnet, attractive property of the magnet, like poles of the magnet repel, unlike poles attract each other. Poles always exist in pairs. Hope you all understand. Thank you for listening it patiently.